Hello.
Kia ora, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very good, thanks. It's a great pleasure to be talking to to you, Amy. I saw you at Laneway earlier this year.
Oh, awesome. That's
Yeah,
like one of my highlights. So that's great.
I hear that. And you've got a few Kiwi connections as well. I see in earlier days you were working with Eden Mulholland.
Yeah, I love Eden. Yeah, he did a song for me called Sits on Girls, and he kind of kicked off this sort of this sound, I guess. It took me a while to sort of find the right balance, and he really helped me with that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because he's very much into that kind of digital landscape, I guess.
Yeah.
Sort of approach. And I know he does a lot of material for things like dance troupes and things like that. He did some for
Yeah.
a project at the International Festival in Wellington, which I saw recently.
Okay.
And yeah, he's really into that kind of thing. So that was a bit of a jump for you from going from sort of girl on the guitar sort of approach, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess when I met Eden, I met him just through a mutual friend, and I loved his music. I thought he just had such a cool sort of sound and voice and lyrics and just sort of wanted to see if he was interested in producing, and he kind of liked a lot of my demos, and I just said to him I'm in a place now where I really love beats and stuff, and I just want to start mixing my guitar, my demos with sort of some synth. And so, yeah, because at the time it was a really difficult balancing act, really, to find without going too electronic or too rock or too, it's a really hard balance. But he's like great at percussion and a great keyboardist and just found this really great sort of melodic vibe that I've sort of just tried to perfect over time.
Yeah. So it's taken a while. I've got a quote here that the record company sent me, which said it took you 15 years to be an overnight success. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one that they wrote, but I think it's true. 15 years. A lot of those years I wasn't really trying to be anything. I was kind of just writing songs. But then there were a lot of years where, I thought I could make something happen. And it's a tough industry as it is. And it just takes a while to sort of make any sort of waves. But you can only put your whole self into something for so long until you've kind of had enough. And yeah, it's kind of true. A lot of people will say, oh, where did she come from? She's just come out of nowhere. When, I guess if you didn't live in Queensland or on the Gold Coast, it's easy to assume that. But I was gigging for so long, writing songs, for 10 years. So it has been a long journey.
A long journey, yeah. And what's Queensland like as a as a place to grow up as a musician? I mean, Kiwis here, we know about Paul and Hanson, and that's about it, and Surfers Paradise, and kind of it doesn't come to mind as a kind of as a great place for music.
No,
Melbourne's
Brisbane,
the place, isn't it?
Yeah, Melbourne and Sydney have, are the thriving sort of cities that everyone sort of has to. Everyone started buckling at moving to those cities to try and make anything happen, and I don't blame them because there's limited venues that will let you play your own songs in Queensland, to make any money, especially, people just want you to play cover songs, Cyndi Lauper and Jimmy Barnes, and easy stuff for them to just sit and drink and watch, the horse races. So it can be a real soul-destroying time, and it was for me, playing those gigs, but it was the only way to make money so I could go into the studio to record my own stuff. But it's getting there, Brisbane's definitely thriving at the moment. They've had the Big Sound conference there for a few years now, which is great. And the Gold Coast where I'm from is still finding its feet, and we've got a couple of places to play that they're never really recommended. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, very quiet there.
Yeah. Sorry, I just finished what I was saying.
Oh, right. Yeah, it struck me that some of the songs like I Said Hi and ones like that seem to be about looking for that attention or looking for some kind of acknowledgement that you exist. Is it? So I get the feeling even from the new album, from most of the songs, that you were going through a bit of a process there. Are you a happier person now?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like it's when I'm happy, like I'm off being happy, like I'm like skipping and looking for rainbows. Like when I'm writing, I'm usually reflecting, or so all my songs are going to be kind of melancholy, I guess. And I think it's just because I write about real stuff, and some of it just happens to. I mean, some of it's very romantic and sweet, but obviously, I Said Hi is a standout because it was always going to be a song that I would write. It's kind of like it's my little anthem, and it's my, lose yourself Eminem moment where it's like, justice prevails type thing. And
Yeah.
I wanted it to be that. Like, I didn't know I was going to end up writing that song, and I didn't know it was going to end up on this album, but I'm really glad it did because, people are using it for so many reasons. And, I've met people at shows who just break out into tears because it's like the song means so much to them, and it's, my story is my story, but it's still an anthem that people can relate to, I think.
Yeah, it struck me until I read the background of it that it was a song almost about mental health in some ways, about kind of getting through a dark period because, yeah, those lyrics definitely spoke to me in that sense. And I was just thinking of all the musicians that have gone through various things lately that have popped up in the news, and it seems to be an recurring theme. In New Zealand here, we're suddenly becoming aware of how the music industry can grind people down so much, and it's become considerably more visible than it was in the past. And that song says all of that.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. It can just be, it can be a pretty dark sort of road, like even once you've kind of made it, like, once you're touring, and if you don't have the right people around you, it can be a really lonely existence, so it's like I tell so many people, managers especially, like if you need to keep in check, and it might be a business for you, but it's someone's life that you're, that they've just got so much to do and think about, and it's like, that they're a human being as well with family and friends, and we don't get to see them that often, so it's just something to keep in check, like a lot of there's a lot of great relationships that you make through music, but there's also some really like dark times as well, but mine get healed by music, like that's why I wrote I Said Hi, and it's kind of like once I have a song that I'm proud of and I get it out there, I feel better. So,
it's cathartic.
I'm okay. If that's what you're asking, I'm okay. I'm in a good place.
That's great to hear. I guess it is cathartic in that sense. Speaking of great people, just looking through the people that helped you make this album, you managed to gather a few friends on the way, like Dan Hume, who's worked with Courtney Barnett, who we know here, Temper Trap, people like that. What was their interest? And I see Joel Little, who of course we know from Lord, Broods, things like that. What was their influence? How did they work with you?
Well, so Dan, I ended up, my very first ARIA Awards, where I was absolutely nothing, no one even knew my name. I just went there because I just signed to my label and they invited me. He ran up to me and introduced himself and was so excited about like Adore and wanted to work with me. And I was really flattered by that because I'm like, that's really cool that he's gone out of his way. And then I realized he was in Evermore, and I was a big Evermore fan. So we ended up doing a song called Drive You Mad and Weekends. And Dan now is Amy Shark sound. He's my man. Like he's really helped me pave my way through like my sound and having that signature throughout all the songs. So he is very crucial to me, and I'll probably work with him for as long as I'm alive. But and then Joel Little, obviously, when Pure Heroin came out, I think the whole world was taken by that record of Lords. And
Yeah.
it kind of gave me a new lease on life. I listened to it and I was like, this is how I like to write, minimal but meaningful and kind of melancholy. So, naturally I looked into who produced it, and it was Joel Little, and I realized, I like his band Goodnight Nurse, and I've got a bit of a punk background, and I wanted to work with him for ages, and I'm so glad I got to work with him. And
so he helped you with Never Coming Back. Was that more the sound of it, the production?
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff I will write, all the lyrics, and I mean, someone like Joel Little and Jack Antonoff, who produced All Loved Up, it's like they're so professional, and they're so at the top of their game that they kind of can work out how the artist wants to write really early on in the day. So I would get there, and I'm a bit weird writing lyrics around people, like, because everything's usually quite personal, and I don't want to have to give a big story about why I like that lyric and why I've come out with it. So both of those producers picked up on that really quickly, and they would put the beat or the music that they sort of created on loop, and then they'd go outside, and like Joel has this beautiful house in LA, so he'd just go outside and play with his kids, and I'd just sit there and try and nut out a first verse, and he'd come back in and be like, I really like this bit, maybe work on that bit, it doesn't flow into this bit, and just like help along that sort of way, like what falls nicely on the ear. And but yeah, it's just such a great experience working with both those guys, like just really at the top of their game.
Oh, right. So you went to LA to work with Joel on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that must have been an interesting experience. Did you have to move around a lot when you were making this, or was most of it done in Australia?
No, it was actually really nice because I had the whole album done. Well, I thought it was done, and I recorded it all in Byron Bay with Dan Hume, and then at sort of like towards the end of the album recording, all these opportunities came about. So I was like, okay, I need to take this opportunity, and I'd never written from scratch with anyone before, so I was really nervous about working with Jack and Joel.
Yeah.
That was going to be, let's start something from scratch. And I was like, oh my God, usually I go in with a demo. Like when I worked with Mark Hoppus, I had the whole song, I had Psycho written, and then he just wrote his verse, and we worked on the music. Whereas when I went in with Jack Antonoff and Joel Little, it's like, all right, well, my name's Jack, and I'm like, I'm Amy, and let's go. Like, let's write a song. And it was really something that I'm not used to. It's really foreign for me. But like I said, they're that professional that they ended up getting the best out. And, we ended up with, like, two really great songs that I had to kick off some other songs to make room for them.
Oh, I guess we'll get to hear those. You're coming to New Zealand. When I saw you at Laneway, I think you had a bit of a minimal band, I think. Are you bringing something bigger this time, or you're playing at the Power Station and down at the Set Foundry in Christchurch and the Victoria University in Wellington and amongst things? So they're relatively okay sized stages. So what are you going to bring with you this time?
I've got a bit more production, but I'm just using my same guys. I like to keep it pretty minimal because we're just that good at musicians that we don't need that many, Sorry, that was a joke. So I'm just bringing my drummer, who's actually born in Auckland, so he's like really excited to be home in New Zealand, and Brad, who jumps from keys to bass to a guitar. So and obviously I'll be playing guitar too. So we found that we can make the sound just as big as if we were to bring anyone else, and we've just got such a great sort of friendship and family right now, and I kind of like the three-piece idea. So I've kept it minimal, but the sound will be big, the lighting will be awesome, and it's just going to be a good time.
Oh, that'd be great. And one last question, this is the frivolous one, are you still wearing Adidas?
I still wear Adidas. I'm mixing it up a little bit, but the good thing about me not signing this massive sponsorship thing that they wanted me to is I can wear whatever I want, so it's good. So, but
Just
yeah,
as
I
well.
still look like 3 stripes, yeah.
Yeah. I think if you head down to Christchurch, it's still winter over there, so a tracksuit's not really going to cut it, is it? Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. Looking forward to seeing you in Wellington. You're playing at the Hunter Lounge on the 15th of September. Tomorrow night you're playing in Christchurch, and tonight you're actually at the Power Station in Auckland.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, good luck with that one and in your New Zealand tour. And we can still get tickets, I presume, by going to www.amyshark.com.
Yes, you can, definitely.
Great. Thank you for talking to us.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.